إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستهديه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله تعالى من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا إنه من يهده الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم وبارك. First of all, I would like to greet you all with Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Number two, I would like to thank our brothers in our Sunnah that they make me see all my brothers from the north side today, and especially our Sunnah people. Jazakumullah khairan. And for sure to see Hoblos, I miss him. Almost 2 years, inshallah. Jazakumullah khairan. Briefly, because since I get to know that the brothers are coming, Sheikh Omar, Egyptian by the way. You guys know? Egyptian. Sheikh Omar and Sheikh Hoblos are visiting. You have an announcement?
We do. We need to, because there's sisters that want to come downstairs, so we need to free up that some listeners that will come down here and ask all the brothers that are here to come here.
Okay, anybody in the extension, please move to the, after you finish Salah class, somebody sit next to them and get them right away. Okay, the sister come down and go to the extension, inshallah. I don't know why.
5 minutes.
In 5 minutes? طيب بس مشكلة مش عورة يعني هم بيصلوا. اليوم يصلوا هم بساعتين. من دقي. طيب أنا من باب احنا جيران يعني. طيب. So يعني سبحان الله يعني it came like that. Last week we were talking me and Ra'id Jazallah Khair about يعني what should we do when the shuyukh comes, and it's our honor that we have them today with us inshallah ta'ala. And then I talked to brother Abdul Allami, all of you guys know him, he's been active in the community for years and years, and we had the same discussion. I remember in the Christmas Eve, and I promised the brothers at that night that we need to continue and work and follow up on the same topic, which is the Muslim identity. So it came to my mind that I believe that the best person or the best people to talk about the Muslim identity in the West is somebody who was active actually with the youth, who has been around the youth a lot, who's working, who's worried, who's like us, thinking, what should we do? If you feel, as I said on the member today, if you feel that you're safe, you're wrong. If you feel that you're okay, you're wrong. You have to be always think about your identity, being a Muslim, living in a non-Muslim country, with due respect to all the laws of the land that we have to follow, but at the end of the day, I have to respect and give the preference all the time to my religion and to my identity. The main identity, as I said today, on the Day of Judgment, your identification will be your religion, nothing else. So without any further details, I'm going to be giving the microphone to Brother Allami to highlight quickly in a few minutes what we already discussed, to put you guys all on the same page with us. And I believe that night we had Sheikh Yahya with us also talking about the importance of preserving and keeping the Muslim identity. So it's going to be Brother Allami, and then the shuyukh, they will find who's going to speak first. It's up to them, and then we'll go from there inshallah ta'ala. Assalamu
alaikum, bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I would like to thank the MC Masjid for the cooperation, and also Jazakumullah khair to the shuyukh to come to this beautiful city, cold city, but it's a very good city, inshallah. Don't worry about the cold. Okay, that's good. So, Jazakumullah khair, the most important factor in this community is that how we can preserve our identity, especially our youth. I've been working with youth in the past 20 years. We have seen a big change in the life of the youth. So alhamdulillah, we discussed very detailed, and we're going to continue with this topic because it's very important for people that young families here. That's how important that how you're going to maintain that identity if you're Muslim. So sometimes we say we are biased, we are always calling Muslim, but to give you a little bit, Eric, one of the writers here, he said, identity crisis lead to crime. Identity crisis lead to crime. So you have very huge identity when you see online. So to give the Shuyukh a little background of the city of Edmonton, 36% of the crime in this city committed by the youth. 800 houses was broken, the crime was done by the youth. So it's not a thing that we, the Muslim community, are protected from those crimes. This is going to come. This is how youth going to be involved. So let's work together, inshallah, to build a second strategy that we can, inshallah, build up a strong community, especially with our young generation, because that's important. And also to let the Sheikh know the history of our city. The first masjid built in 1938 in Edmonton. So hopefully the brothers take you to the Fort Edmonton to see the old Al-Rashid Masjid there. And also 1871 the Muslim arrived in Edmonton, in Canada, and there was more than around 700 Muslim at that time. So alhamdulillah, we are growing. Let's for the growth we need some kind of strategic tools and things that we're going to keep our youth away from the troubles, and alhamdulillah to keep also our identity. You should give that identity to our kids that they will be proud of it. So without further ado, I'm going to turn to the Shuyukh, inshallah. I don't know who's going to start. Sheikh Sharif going to make the decision.
So inshallah ta'ala, the setup will be, inshallah, we'll listen to our Shuyukh, average 15 minutes each, and then we'll go to a discussion panel question. If you guys have any concern or questions, I think they're ready for that, inshallah ta'ala. We'll go with Sheikh.
So inshallah, look, let me just before I start, let me apologize on the onset because what I'm going to say is very unorthodox, and I think it's important, and I'm going to be not rude but quite blunt because I didn't travel for 40 hours so we can play games and say nice words and make you feel good and then we all go home and sing Kumbaya together. My brothers, the reality of our identity crisis, in my humble opinion, is the fact that we know very little of our deen, we're not completely convinced of our deen, and we're not proud of our deen. This contributes a massive factor towards our lack of identity. My brothers and sisters, there's something that we have to understand as Muslims. Our identity crisis for now, let's just worry about ourselves and not worry about what's happening outside. My brothers and sisters, you and I need to understand something. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't need you. Allah doesn't need me. Don't think for a second that Allah needs us in any way, shape or form. Allah is the King, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the Creator, Allah is the Sustainer. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the Creator of the seven heavens and the earth. Allah is Al-Malik. He's the King before you, He's the King while you're here, and He's going to be the King, trust me, well and truly after you're gone. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not in need of you and I. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not in need of me being a Muslim either. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is perfection, He's perfect. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's deen is perfection. Something that we all fail to understand. The deen of Islam is not the deen of, it's not the deen of a man. Islam is not the deen of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. People talk all the time that Islam needs reformation. Habibi, you're not talking about the religion that belongs to my father. Look, I have the manuscript in my pocket, therefore I can change what I want and when I want and how I want. The deen of Allah is perfection. It's wahy it's from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah has perfected our deen, it's complete. اليوم أكملت لكم دينكم وأتممت عليكم نعمتي ورضيت لكم الإسلام دينا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not in need of anyone to be a Muslim or not to be a Muslim. Allah is perfection. We need to understand this. And if you choose to be a Muslim, well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from you that if you become a Muslim, then you accept Islam completely. You don't pick and choose what you want from the deen. There's no compulsion in religion. There's no forcing anyone to be a Muslim. Today, even the da'is think our job is to make the whole world Muslim. Habibi, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes it very clear to the Prophet of Allah. You can't guide whom you want. We guide whom we want. My job and your job as a Muslim is to convey the message. The they accept, they don't accept, they pray, they don't pray. I mean, wallahi, it's not my business. My job and your job is to convey the message of Islam. This is our job and this is our responsibility. Now, why am I saying this? Sometimes these words, they seem a bit harsh. But we need to get basics. These are principles you and I need to understand. I choose to be a Muslim. I'm not forced to be a Muslim. There's no compulsion in religion. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't want your deen. If you being a Muslim is by force, Allah's not interested. Allah doesn't want it. What does it benefit to Allah if I'm forced to pray? No, Habibi, no. I choose to be a Muslim. Why have I chosen Islam? Because Islam is perfection. It came from the Malik. It's complete. It's perfection. It wasn't complete and perfect 1400 years ago, and now it's no. It was perfection then. It's perfection now, and it will be perfection until we stand in front of Allah. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was handpicked by Allah. He was also perfection. His selection was perfection. His sunnah was also perfection. The problem with our identity is the fact that we're not convinced. You and I are still not convinced that His sunnah is the best, that His sunnah is the ultimate, that His sunnah is the only thing that Allah will accept. We're still not convinced. Because if we were truly convinced, we wouldn't be having this conversation. But deep down in our hearts, there's ambiguity. It's not clear. It's not, because we're still not convinced. Influenced by this, that, and the other. No. My Islam is perfection. And when you understand this, wallah, you become proud of your deen. Habibi, what do you have that's better than Islam? Come here on the table, show me. Muslims today, they're falling all over themselves. Trying to make their deen, trying to justify Habibi, I don't have to justify my Islam to anyone. I don't have to justify what the Prophet does and when he does it and how he does it. Not to anyone. He's the Prophet of Allah. He does what he wants, when he wants, how he wants. We don't. How dare we question him? Who am I to question him? Someone comes to me, no iman, no tawheed, doesn't even wash his hands after he finishes from the bathroom, and he has the audacity to question me about what the Prophet of Allah does. How dare you? Muslims today, wallahi, Muslims with beads, sisters in hijab, still doubtful about the laws of Allah and the orders of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we ask, why are non-Muslims? Habibi, if you and I are confused, what have you left for non-Muslims? You and I are confused, of course they're going to be confused. You know, there's nothing, in my humble opinion, there's nothing that non-Muslims love more than someone who stands up for principles, for people that stand up for what they believe in. But we don't. I don't need to justify my Islam to anyone. People come to me, why is this? Muslims! Wallahi, Muslims! Sheikh, why did Allah make this halal, man? Why is this haram in our deen? Who are you to question Allah? Who are you to question Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And what understanding do you have, yani? And don't get me wrong, it's not like we can't ask questions in our deen. Ibrahim alayhi salam, he asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says to me, Ya Allah, show me how you give life to the dead. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying. As a Muslim, we can ask. But we don't ask because we're questioning Allah. Ibrahim asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says, Ya Allah, show me how you give life to the dead. Look, Allah teaching us. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to Ibrahim, Oh Ibrahim, don't you believe? Don't you believe, Ibrahim? Are you doubtful that I can give life to the dead? He says, no, Ya Allah, I believe. But to strengthen my heart, Ya Allah, I want to see. To strengthen my iman. If that's the case, Ibrahim, then we will show you. But you and I, we're still doubtful about our deen. We are still doubtful about the orders of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Muslims now, how many times have you heard this? Brother, that Islam means peace. Have you heard this? Do you guys have this big musibah in this country? Muslims everywhere, plastering now on billboards. Islam means peace. Islam equals peace. Where did you get this from? Islam doesn't mean peace. Speak to any Arab. Islam doesn't mean peace. Islam means submission. That's what Islam means. Islam means submission. And those that submit, they're called Muslims. And the more they submit to Allah, then the more peace they will have in their lives. Islam is a religion of peace, yes, but it's also a religion of war. No, brother, why can't I say this? Why are we shy of our deen? When the time is for this, then our deen is, this is the beauty of Islam. Now, is Islam about killing people? And no, a'udhu billah, no. But when the time arises, when the time is in need, then the right hukm applies. Yes, Islam is a predominantly peaceful religion. It's about spreading love and peace and this, that, yes. But when push comes to shove, then there are other hukm, there are other rulings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Today you and I, we're not proud of this. We're shy. We've painted Islam in so many different colors. Even Muslims are confused now. What's our deen about anymore? No one knows anymore. Muslims, Habibi, forget, wallahi, Muslims are questioning the Prophet of Allah. We're scared and we're terrified. People are shy of their names now. Muslims are now hiding their names. Why? Why? What name do they have that's better than ours, yani? Tell me. I don't want to show you that I'm a Muslim. Why not? Because deep down in my heart, I'm still doubtful. I'm not completely convinced. Our problem is within, far more than what it is outside. Because you go outside and you see how non-Muslims deal with certain things that they believe in. Wallahi, it's amazing. It's amazing. And forgive me, wallahi, it's really unfortunate that I'm going to use this example. But for the sake of understanding, 20, 30 years ago, to be a homosexual was such a, it was such a frowned upon thing. But they used to celebrate, I don't know if you have it, we have it in Sydney, they have this Eid, it's called the Mardi Gras. Do you guys have it here? They're celebrating and singing and dancing and wearing all sorts of clothes because it's something he believes in. Now, we used to laugh at them before, now they're made to be heroes. Why? Because he was persistent on what he believed in. They didn't sacrifice what they believed in. You and I, we do want to sacrifice. We want to compromise. We want to know, brother, we need to apply wisdom. What wisdom? This is my deen, this is my Islam, this is my honor, this is my sharaf. This is what I live for, this is what I died for. What do you want me to compromise? The deen of Allah, the sunnah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, for what? And the question is really, for what? I would rather die on my feet, establishing the deen of Allah, than to live on my knees. We're not proud of our deen, we're not proud of our Prophet, we're not proud of his sunnah. This is causing us major problems. And the truth is, give me something that's better, wallahi, if there was another solution, if there was another way that was actually doing better than Islam, wallahi, I could understand. But what is there? What is there? Look around the world, point your finger in any direction. In and out today, people think that if we got rid of Islam and we got rid of Muslims, that everything will be fine. Would it really? Give me a country where depression is not on the rise, anxiety is not on the rise, sexual abuse towards children is not on the rise, suicide is not on the rise. Show me where. Crime is not on. Where? Show me. Just point the finger. Show me which direction. Where? And you and I, we have the solution, we have the cure, we have the deen of Allah that came to solve the problems of all of humanity. And we're shy, we're embarrassed of our deen. What do you live for? We want to, like Muslims are shy. Now, of course, I never speak like this in public. I'll never speak speak to non-Muslims. No, please, my brothers, don't misunderstand. We show love and we show hikmah and we show wisdom. Because that's also the sunnah, that's also this is also from the identity of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But we need to put things in perspective. It harms me more when I see a Muslim questioning the order of Allah than when I see someone that doesn't know the deen, doesn't know Rasulullah, doesn't know Allah, doesn't know Quran, and he's confused. He doesn't faze me, wallahi, he doesn't bother me. But the Muslim, who sometimes his name is Muhammad and he's questioning the laws of Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what's wrong with us? Give me something that's better. We heard you Muslims, that you cover your women, that this is oppression, and that you people are backwards, and what do you do? Wow, man. We cover our women. This now is the big deal now. You cover your women. Yeah, but why do they have to cover their face and why? Why, it's amazing. It's amazing. There used to be a time when men had sharaf, they had ghira. The Muslim men, anyway, forget. There used to be a time when, Omar ibn al-Khattab, imagine the ruling came down from behind a man. Omar ibn al-Khattab didn't sit right with him. That how can the wives of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the mothers of the believers, the women who were made haram permanently on the ummah anyway, he didn't sit right with him. That how can our mothers be exposed to men? Which men, the most honorable and the best of men. So he came to the Prophet of Allah frustrated. This is something we don't have anymore. It's called ghira, it's called jealousy. It's long gone now, this is extinct. Today now the brother has a nice photo with his wife, puts it on WhatsApp, it's his profile pic. We're in love. You and your wife. You and your wife. But then they said, yes, Habibi, yes, openly. He knows every person that looks at it. He's looking at your wife and you know it. It's alright. Ghira, it's gone. Why do you have to cover? It's funny. You go to any man, any person on earth, anything that's valuable is covered. Anything that's valuable, it's covered. Your money, where do you put it? On the front window? Your jewelry, where do you put it? On the front window for everyone outside to see? Where do you put it? It's covered, it's in a safe, it's locked up, it's in a black velvet box. And we all understand, brother, it's valuable, it's precious. Habibi, our women are more precious to us than your jewelry and your money. We cover our women not because we're backwards, because they're the most precious thing we have. That's why we cover them. Not anymore. It's backwards. Jihad. You can't say jihad anymore. People buckle. Brother, please don't say, man. Masjid's going to get closed down. Why? Why are you shy? Now, of course, like I said, I will never speak I don't walk outside publicly and talk about this stuff. But you need to understand, we're not convinced. Does Islam have jihad? You're damn right it has jihad. Oh, why? Habibi, give me a nation on earth that doesn't have a defense league. Give me a nation on earth that doesn't have a defense league. Forget when an invading army, refugees, Syrian refugees, people that were running for their lives when they came, people attacked them. Syrian refugees were attacked for trying to seek asylum. What does that say about that nation? That when an army comes to invade you, that you're going to throw rose petals at them, No, every nation has a defense force. Why? When the time comes, if it happens to be wet. No. Muslims, no, we don't have jihad. La habibi, yes, we do have jihad. And our jihad is more honorable than your jihad. You fight for resources and this. We fight to establish the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We don't fight for anything else. You want to talk about what's right and what's wrong? Come, bring your jihad and compare it to my jihad. Maybe if we spoke a little bit more about the true jihad, not the jihad on TV, not the jihad that the CNN wants to show me, not the jihad of some young guy on YouTube with a little beard and his opinion. No, the true jihad, the jihad of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Let's talk about it more. Maybe we will learn some decency. Come, look at the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Prophet of Allah and his companions. How many times when you go to fight them, if you imprison them, you treat their prisoners like you treat your army. You feed them from what you feed your army. Don't touch their women, don't touch their children, don't touch their monks, don't touch their priests. Don't burn their trees, don't harm the livestock, don't touch their schools, don't touch their hospitals. Come, let's talk, let's compare. One of the companions, he killed a man he killed a prisoner of war that said, La ilaha illallah. He killed him, he said, no, that is a liar. The Prophet of Allah, he says to him, you killed him, and he said the shahada. He said, the Prophet of Allah, he said it to save his life. The Prophet of Allah kept telling him, you killed him, and he said shahada, you killed him. The Sahabi said, I had wished I had not embraced Islam before this day. Why? Because he made a mistake in war. They walked in, you see, with a suit and tie. They walked into Iraq many years ago. They raped the nation. They brought it down to the ground. Wallahi, if Iraq was to all gather today to try to restore itself, it would take 100 years to get back on its feet. They wiped the nation down to the ground, convincing us that there was weapons of mass destruction. After 10 years, what did they turn around and say? Well, we thought they were there, but we were wrong. Forgive us. And then they walked away. We don't have a problem with that, but do we? That's all right. But we have a problem with the jihad of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Anyway, wallahi, my brothers, I can talk all day long. We need to understand, if you and I are not convinced of the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Habibi, what have you left for others? The deen of Allah is perfection. And it's not for me or anyone else to justify the deen of Allah or the orders. Yes, we can talk about the hukm, the wisdom, why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes, we can talk about this stuff. But never ever to question Allah. Allah doesn't need you, I need Him. And Islam is perfection. Islam is what changed the world. Islam is what changed Arabia. Islam is what made the Sahaba, is what made Allah pleased with the Sahaba. That was true success. And when we come back to our true deen, when we come back to the identity of the Muslim, proud of who I am, I'm proud of who I follow. Yes, I have shortcomings. Yes, I have mistakes. Yes, I'm not the best Muslim. But my identity is the identity of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I'll leave it with Shaykh Omar. Of course, the love damage. جزاكم خيرا سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. نحمده سبحانه وتعالى ونستهديه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله تعالى من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله تعالى فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له. وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله وصفيه من خلقه وحبيبه. بلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح الأمة وكشف الله عز وجل به الغمة وجاهد في سبيل ربه حتى أتاه اليقين. فاللهم صل وسلم وبارك عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. أما بعد. Alhamdulillah, my brothers and my sisters in Islam, as we heard, mashallah, Brother Mohammed spoke about this submission to Allah and His Prophet. That's very, very, very important for all of us, my brothers. Without this submission, the person will never reach what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has planned. You will never reach what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from you. And my brothers, to move on, to go a bit deeper in the topic, we have to understand that all our deen depends and relies on this submission. Depends and relies on this iman, on this belief. Really, my brothers, when we think about identity, why do people change their skin? Why do people act differently than who they really are, or choose to change who they really are, or what they really belong to? People do that because they seek honor in this world. Why does a person dress in a certain way? If you ask anyone, now brother, why are you dressed as such? Why are you wearing this brand name or this label? Or why do you choose this style? People usually would always do and say, brother, wallah, I like it. I dress this because I like it. No one really wears or puts a skin on, my brothers, because he likes it. People wear because others like it. In every store that sells clothes or shoes or whatever, what's the most important piece of furniture in the store, it's a mirror. Why do you look in the mirror? You look in the mirror because you want to see how people see me, how they view me. I want to see when others look at me, what do they see? It's not because I like the material or like the color. It's about my identity. This identity comes down all the way, trickles down all the way to your yaqeen and iman, your belief, your trust, your confidence, your submission. What is honor? Where does honor come from? If you answer these questions, you answer the questions of all the questions of identity, my brothers. Nowadays, every single one of us is seeking honor. We want to be loved. We want to be famous. We want to be praiseworthy. We want people to look up to us. It's a natural human feeling. But the problem is the path we are taking is not the path that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala showed me and you. It's not the path of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Rather, nowadays, when we seek honor, where do we seek it? We seek it in what we call in every society, in every community, there are those, we call them the elite, the decision makers, Like say fashion, for example. What's nice? What's beautiful now? In clothes now. What's fashion? What's beautiful? Who decides what's fashion this year? What's fashion this spring? Who decides, For example, it's known in the world that Paris is the capital of fashion, for example. All the famous labels and brand names. Europe usually, maybe America, Canada, Allah, I don't really follow much, but in my days, Paris was the hub, All these fashion designers and label brands, mashallah, they will sit down and they will draw and decide, wallah, this year is velvet, this year is blue. Even, wallahi, simple things like the bead. Now recently, in the Khuruj, we met that brother. It's coming to fashion now, came to my knowledge recently that the bead is now in fashion. There's that look, that fighter Conor McGregor, that look, that big beard, big moustache. Subhanallah, someone high, someone that is looked up to, decided that this is fashion. Subhanallah, I found a lot of Muslim young men. They want to fit in. Now the beard is nice. Now the beard is good. Now the beard is attractive. All of a sudden, subhanallah. Subhanallah, if you look at the trends of human beings, how they change, it's amazing. Human beings always fluctuate. In the 70s and the 80s, there came this fashion of the flares. What do you call them? These called flares? The jeans that open up towards the legs. If someone now puts flares on and walks in the city, what does it feel like? You will be the topic of sarcasm for everyone on the street. Why? How are you doing? What's that you're wearing? This was the fashion of the 80s. It's beautiful. Brother, you look like a clown. You look like a clown now. The long, what do you call this? Sideburns. The long sideburns, If someone wears the 1800 suits or whatever, fashion changes, but what changes it? What changes it is certain elite in society that decide they dress in a certain way, and all of a sudden everyone follows. And unfortunately, my brothers, Muslims in their separate and different communities, they also fall in the same trap. They believe, if I wear like this, if I act like this, if I live like this, I am fashionable, I am looked up to, I am happy. And this is embedded in the hearts of millions of Muslims, brothers. This is why you want honor, you go to the gym. If I get a six-pack, muscle, the boys understand, of course, what I'm saying, Wallah, you want honor, what do you go? What's that, man? You have a kirish. Look at that belly, look at that gut you have, Subhanallah, now you go, six-pack, steroids, whatever, get good, look good. Now, everyone looks up. Martial arts. When Bruce Lee movies came out, all of a sudden, all the boys on the street were punching, little sandbags and trying to break coconuts with the fingers. Why? Because, khalas, if I know martial arts, if I have strength, if I have power, if I have this, I'll be honorable. I'll be successful. I will fit in. Especially for migrant communities that came and Muslims living in the West, Canada, Australia, we have the same problem. People came here, my father's weird accent, I want to fit in. So I want to talk an accent better than the accent of the locals. I want to dress up and beat them in their own game, sort of attitude. Why? All of this comes down to the yaqeen and trust, the false corrupt yaqeen and conviction in your heart that if I have this in my life, I will be honorable. But Islam came, my brothers, to destroy this at the roots. Allah said in ayah, a verse in the Quran that me and you read, but unfortunately the words enter from one ear and leave from the other. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said a very long time ago, Man kana yuridu al-izzah. Do you want honor, my brothers? Do you want izzah? Do you want the help of Allah, the nusra of Allah, the honor of Allah Azza wa Jal? Man kana yuridu al-izzata falillahi al-izzatu jami'an. Honor is the creation of Allah Azza wa Jal. Allah honors whoever He wishes, and Allah debases and degrades whoever He wishes. يُعِزُّ مَنْ يَشَاءُ وَيُذِلُّ مَنْ يَشَاءُ. Any other means, my brothers, any other means, brothers or sisters, of honor. You seek honor in your education. You seek honor in your talent. You seek honor in your clothes, your fashion, your style, your knowledge, anything, any other path of knowledge other than the path of Allah, subhanallah, watch carefully and see any celebrity in this world. Means of dunya always die out. Reasons of honor in dunya, they always change. Look at the celebrity, a star. I don't know which movie stars are out now, but let's say the star of the stars now is a certain actor or actress. All the lights, all the camera, all the glitter and glamour is all surrounding her or him. Give them a few years, what happens to them? The stardom of dunya always descends. It peaks, then what happens? After it peaks, it goes down. Subhanallah. Then directors and, movie industry will come. You are the sole, mashallah, you took the major role in the movie. You are the star of the movie. Then they start giving you father roles, mother roles. After I was the star, the celebrity. Subhanallah, stardom always dies. This is the quality of dunya, my brothers. Stardom in it dies. You can't take means of dunya. You're rich, you're famous, mashallah. After a while, you are worthless. You have no value. No one, you're a history class. But the izzah of deen continues. The izzah from Allah, the honor from Allah, my brothers, continues. It follows you from this world to your grave, to the hereafter. The true izzah, the real honor is being in a state where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pleased with you. Someone like Bilal radiallahu anhu. Look at Bilal radiallahu anhu, my brothers. In his time, a time of slavery, a time of racism, he was a black Abyssinian slave of the 3rd degree. No, even slaves had ranks. Bilal was the worst rank, radiallahu anhu. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed him with the deen of Islam. Allah honored him, raised him because of this deen. So Bilal radiallahu anhu, Bilal, the slave, the Abd, the Habashi, the Abyssinian slave, became Sayyiduna Bilal, became our leader Bilal. Omar radiallahu anhu used to say, Bilal Sayyiduna. Omar, the Qurashi from Mecca, used to say, Bilal is our leader. وَأَعْتَقَهُ سَيِّدَنَا. And he was freed by our leader Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. This was the rank of Bilal radiallahu anhu. Why? Because of the honor of deen, because Allah honored him. And if Allah chooses, my brothers, to honor someone, no one can harm his honor. No one can degrade him. Nothing can happen that can affect or harm this person, because Allah chose to honor him. If we build this yaqeen in our hearts, that honor is in the obedience of Allah and in following the sunnah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, all our problems are solved. Why are our youth changing the skin? Why does Muhammad, like Brother Mohammed said, change his name to Mo or Mike? Because he's actually shy of his name Muhammad. He's worried Muhammad will not bring him business. He's worried that Muhammad, I don't fit in. People can't pronounce it properly. People look at me weird when they say my name. Because I'm Muhammad. Because he feels, ya haram, he's such a miskeen, his false yaqeen is directing him that this is the reason for humiliation. Rather, my brothers, look at Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. A man, my brothers, one man. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent him to purify earth from corruption. This man, we think conditions are hard now, there were 360 idols. 360 idols in the Haram, around the Kaaba. 300 other in the Kaaba, the center of Tawheed, the base and foundation of Tawheed, other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was being worshipped. But the Prophet of Allah came with this deen that's so powerful, that's so strong, such a message, such a da'wah. It takes over. It's designed to take over, my brothers, provided you deal with it properly with yaqeen and iman. The Prophet started working in da'wah and the light started spreading. And the Sahaba that were humiliated. In the time, the superpowers were who? The Persian Empire, the Byzantine, the Roman Empire. The Arabs were in such a low state at the time, my brothers. No one even wanted to occupy Arab lands. Can you imagine? Can you imagine on earth at that time? Persians, war happening, they're fighting over Iraq, Syria, the Levant, places of resources. No one even wanted to occupy Hijaz. What do we do in the desert? There's barbarians there, these Arabs, No one wanted them. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent Islam to these Arabs. Why? To prove to humanity, as a proof for all humanity after, that this deen is the only thing you need to move up in rank from being the most humiliated to being the leaders of the world. The deen of Allah is designed as such, my brothers, provided you trust this system, you believe in it. Our problem now is, like Brother Muhammad said, we don't believe in this deen. We're actually shy of our deen. We feel in our hearts, you can talk all day, all night. Male, female, you can speak and claim all day, all night. How much you love Islam, how much you trust Islam. Your clothes expose you. Your lifestyle exposes you. It says millions of words about you. Why do you choose to wear what you wear? I can choose to wear something simple. Something that was closer to the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, or I can choose to wear a brand. A shirt that has G-Star on it. Is G-Star a brand? Is he? Yeah. G-Star. I'll go pay $200, $300 for a shirt that has this label on it. The same shirt, same material, same quality, everything, but doesn't have that brand on it, is for $50. I'll pay $300. Why? It's not about the shirt, it's about the girl I'm wearing. Do you know this watch? Do you know these pants? We seek honor where? In the worldly things, the simplest of things. A sister, a brother, he will seek honor just in wearing what is in fashion these days. Sorry to say, some person who doesn't have any knowledge about life, any knowledge about akhirah, any knowledge about what's right and what's wrong, any knowledge about fitrah, he will sit down with his painting brush and decide what's beautiful, what's nice. Now our sisters, they compete. Which hijab is more attractive? Which scarf is more colorful? Which style of the scarf is more elegant and attractive? What's happening is we're competing in the opposite of the purpose. The purpose is, mashallah, modesty, not attract attention. No, we want to attract attention. Why? The whole point of why we wear is to attract attention. The guy goes, wears some clothes, why? His purpose is to attract attention, my brothers. This is why we say it all comes down to your yaqeen. Where is your yaqeen? Where do you seek honor from? If you believe that honor is a deen, all your problems are solved. The story I will finish with, inshallah, because Sheikh Sharif is telling me that time is running out. Did I say? You said by the phone. The Mashayikh say, my brother, subhanallah, that Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu was, Allahu Akbar, such a leader, such a Khalifa. They're very, very famous stories. Umar radiallahu anhu ruled, they say, approximately 2/3 of the known world. 2/3 of the known world. But he was a Khalifa that had iman. He knew that who gives izzah? My clothes? What did Umar radiallahu anhu wear? What was his clothes like? He used to wear a jubbah that had 14 patches. He used to, if his abaya, if his jubbah got cut, well, I'm not chucking the rubbish bin. No, now we have a little thread hanging out. A'udhu billah, how can I wear this? My email, my image. Little thread. No way, that's rubbish quality, khalas. It has to go back to the rubbish bin. Give it to Syria, send it to the poor. That's how we deal, But me, I have to wear the best of the best. So Umar radiallahu anhu understood that yaqeen, happiness, success, honor is in deen, not in what I wear, not in my shoe. So he radiallahu anhu wore a jubba that had 14 patches. You know, he used to patch his abaya. وكان يقول ليس منا من لم يرقع ثوبه. If you're not one of those people who patches your clothes when they get torn, you're not one of us. Khalas, you're one of them. Something is wrong in your path. Something is wrong in your understanding. What he ate, the Prophet ﷺ used to eat on the floor, simple man. You know, a lady from Quraysh, non-Muslim, passes by him. She sees him eating like a slave. قالت ما له يأكل كما يأكل العبيد. Why is he eating like slaves for? The Prophet ﷺ looks at her and says, أولست أعبد من في الأرض لله. I'm a slave of Allah Azza wa Jal. I'm a slave, you're right. I am a slave of Allah Azza wa Jal. Humble, simple, but they had iman in the hearts like mountains. So Allah made them the leaders of the world. Umar radiallahu anhu, the Khalifa of the Muslimin. The Muslim armies, mashallah, they conquest Palestine. They go to Masjid al-Aqsa that's now occupied. And now the priests, the Christian priests of Masjid al-Aqsa, they want to give the keys of the mosque. After being surrounded for 4 months, they want to give the keys to the Amir al-Mu'mineen. They say his description. The description of the Khalifa, the Muslim leader that will take these keys is in our books, is in our scribes. Subhanallah. You know, Khalid Walid radiallahu anhu, Abu Ubaidah ibn al-Jarrah, the leaders of the Muslim army at the time, they say, Umar is in Medina. By the time we call for him, he comes from Medina. It's a 2-month trip. معنا وقت the army, people are waiting. Let anyone, well, the Khalifa and go. خلصونا, man. Open the doors. They put any Muslim like that to take the keys. They say to them, sorry, that's not the description that we have. So Umar radiallahu anhu, they send Abu Ubaidah ibn Jarrah, the Amir of the army. He sends a letter to Umar, he says, Amir, please save us and save the Muslim army and come and take the keys. So Umar radiallahu anhu, the Amir al-Mu'mineen, the leader, he comes from Medina to Palestine. How? Entourage, bodyguards. He comes, radiallahu anhu, him and his slave on a donkey. Him and his slave, his servant on a donkey. Sometimes Umar rides the donkey and the slave walks. And sometimes the slave rides the donkey and Umar radiallahu anhu walks. And they're coming like this, a month trip. In the sun, in the wind, whatever it is, in the dirt, in the sand. When they arrive, before they approach Bayt al-Maqdis, whose turn is on the donkey? It's the slave's turn. So Umar radiallahu anhu puts the slave on the donkey and enters Palestine, enters Bayt al-Maqdis in this state. Who meets him? Abu Ubaidah ibn Jarrah radiallahu anhu. The Amir of the army. He meets him on the door. Umar, please, what are you doing? He goes, these people, the people of dunya, the people of money, they've seen Herakl, they've seen the Roman kings. How am I going to convince these people that you are Amir al-Mu'mineen? He goes, please, we will get you a nice Turkish horse that dances. We will get you a jubba worth that much, to convince them. We sent someone, they didn't believe us. So Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu pushed Abu Ubaidah in his chest. قال لو قالها غيرك يا أبو عبيدة. If anyone else said these words other than you, لجعلته نكالا لأمة Muhammad. I would have made a lesson out of him for the Ummah of Rasulullah. Then he said this famous statement that is on our tongues but not in our hearts. قال كنا أذل الناس. We were the most humiliated of people. فأعزنا الله بالإسلام. Allah honored us. Allah gave us rank. Allah gave us rank in people's eyes because of this deen. And if we seek honor in other than this deen, Allah will humiliate us. This, my brothers, is what happened to us in our time. Nowadays, we seek honor in our clothes. A Muslim seeks honor in his shoe. A sister seeks honor in her bag, the bag she's carrying, the phone cover you have. This is where I seek honor. So what did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala do? Allah humiliated Muslims. Now we are the cheapest blood, the cheapest honor, the cheapest people in the world, people of no significance. 1 million Muslims will die, they won't even make the news. One non-Muslim passes away, all the news, all the coverage comes. Someone in Paris passed away. Someone was killed in a terrorist attack. Maybe there's millions that are dying every day. No one cares. They're useless, they're insignificant. This humiliation, don't think that this humiliation is because these people are strong. This humiliation is because we have left the reason of honor. If you want honor, my brother, my sister, the only way of honor is the way of Allah Azza wa Jalla, the Sunnah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us from those who practice what they hear. نسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يجعلنا من الذين يستمعون القول فيتبعون أحسنه. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.
جزاك الله خير شيخ عمر. جزاك الله خير شيخ محمد. So the message that I personally got from Brother Mohamed Hoblos today is when we talk about identity, we have to think, not to think, to believe in our religion, in our deen, that it is perfection, and to be convinced. And sometimes we cheat ourselves. You know what? I'm convinced, but your behavior does not does not say that. You know, the way that you behave, it doesn't say that you're 100% convinced. And if you're not 100% convinced, you're not going to be able to represent the religion as it should be. Sheikh Omar, Jazakallah Khair, also highlights a very important point, which is don't change your skin, don't hide your identity, and don't risk your identity to please anything or anybody or anything, or to be close to anybody. Don't look for honor. If you're not getting it from your religion, you will never get it from anywhere. Today, after we talked about the identity, the Muslim identity in the khutbah, I got a very nice comment from one of the brothers, and this is going to be the start of the discussion, inshallah ta'ala, that a topic like that is not a topic of solutions. He came and said, Sheikh, you're not giving us solutions. Because you can't give us solutions. It's a topic for discussion. And through the discussion, you will decide the solutions for yourself. I will decide the solutions for myself. He will, she will, everybody will look for solutions. At least you're aware of that. At least, you know what, when somebody comes to you and say, we were talking, me and one of the brothers right before Isha, that it's very shameful when you have a leader in the Muslim community somewhere, a leader in the Muslim community, and their kids or their grandchildren non-Muslim anymore. They're not Muslim anymore. This is what you have to be always thinking of. I know you're praying 5 times a day. Inshallah, you're always in the Sunnah. Inshallah, I see you all over there, right? Not all of you. Yeah, you pray. You have a big influence on your family and your kids. But do you think about the generation to come? Are you responsible or not? Are you responsible for people that will come from you, inshallah ta'ala, or not? So inshallah ta'ala will open the Isha, inshallah, will be at 9:30. We'll make Isha a little bit late tonight, inshallah ta'ala. Yani maybe 8:15 or 8:20, inshallah. They pray anyway, the north side, 8:30, right? What time you guys pray? 8. You guys pray 8 like us. But the Rashid people, they pray 8:30. 8:28. So inshallah ta'ala we'll pray around 8:15, inshallah ta'ala, just to give a room for discussion, because I want to hear the reaction of Sheikh Omar and Sheikh Hoblos on like some concerns and questions that the brothers have today, inshallah ta'ala. So we'll start, and please, I don't want a brother come and say, what about if I pray Isha and then I forgot the surah, forget about all of this. Focus on the identity. I need you guys to be with us on the same page. Questions or concerns or comments about the same topic, the preserving, keeping, protecting the Muslim identity in mental. Just be specific about yourself, about what concerns you. Shall I start with the questions for the sisters? If you want, if you have any question, again, the sisters, if you have any question, text it to 780-680-3719. One more time, 780-680-3719. Inshallah, if you have any question for the sisters, inshallah ta'ala. Any brothers? Anybody has question? Khaldun is here. Yeah.
I heard the Shaykh said Islam is the religion of peace and then religion of war. I would like to have evidence from Quran and Sunnah that Islam is the religion of war, because I never heard in my life.
Okay.
Okay?
لا يعني I think I will answer on behalf of Brother Mohammed if you don't mind, because he's angry and violent, so I'm worried that ever, you know, Masjid al-Nur, the member, we have it, mashallah, braced, but here I don't think this table is strong enough to handle. طبعا there is no doubt amongst the ulama of the Muslimin that jihad, fighting, qital is part of our deen. That's what he is referring to. When he says Islam is the deen of peace and war, he is referring to that in some situations there's peace, in some situations there is war. You're referring to the terminology, technicality. We mean war, harb. You mean yani. That's what he means. We understand the point that you're trying to make. Allah, that's what he means. We mean the same thing, alhamdulillah. We mean the same thing. He was the war, يعني جهاد بالإنجليزي. We understand.
Any other question? Go ahead, John.
So,
You stand up, allow your voice, then we'll repeat the question anyway.
If anyone, لا شباب, I'll tell you a funny story first before we start.
Yeah, go ahead.
They say one sheikh was in Egypt. أيام الشيخ شريف وأنا كنا في مصر, you know. In Egypt, you know, we had a lot of tyrants, we had a lot of, you know. So one big sheikh in Egypt, very, very famous, very wise, mashallah, in Hosni Mubarak's time, you know. Someone sent him he sent him a question paper. He goes, what do you think of Hosni Mubarak? You know, in the بعد الأسئلة بعد الدرس, he goes, what do you think of Hosni Mubarak? So the sheikh said, he read the question, he goes, the brother is asking me, what do I think of Hosni Mubarak? He goes, look, well, if you want to answer, don't send the paper. Come stand beside me, say your name, your address, ask the question, and I will answer also. But don't send us questions and come in front of the camera, say your name and number and address, and then ask sensitive questions. When we go to Habas together. Be wise, huh? Please.
Go ahead, John.
Go
ahead.
So the other day, I was just with two of my colleagues, and one of them happened to bring up just one of them's an atheist, so he happened to bring up how he doesn't know if God exists or not, you know. So we started talking about it, and as the conversation goes on, one of them is Christian and one of them is atheist. So the atheist guy, he starts to bring up Islam and Christianity. He starts to use them as like a little bit of a battle with each other, right? So he starts saying, well, the Muslims, they think that, if you're not Muslim, we don't trust you. If you're not Muslim, you're this, you're that, you're not a believer, you should be killed, you're this. Even in the Quran, it says verses that, that don't trust the Muslims, don't trust the Christians, don't trust the Jews. He was trying to start a kind of like a little battle between us. And I just sat there and I just listened and I kind of ignored it, but I told him, you can't just use one or two verses and assume that this is our religion, that this whole thing is our religion. So the point is that he's saying too that other Muslimin are telling him, if you're not a Muslim, no, you're gonna go to hell. If you're not a Muslim, you're this. If you're not a Muslim, you're that. So just a bunch of negative things. How do you overcome these things? And how do you kind of tell these people, these non-Muslims, that no, like if you're not a Muslim, like we're not trying to make you guys look like you're lower than us. How do you do that? Because for them, they think that, oh, these Muslims are thinking that if we're not one of them, then we're nothing, you know? How do you overcome that?
Who are you asking so that you don't, we don't fight over the mic?
Whichever one.
I will try this one. Me?
Anyone.
You don't want alright. So the brother is asking, I'll repeat the question because maybe people didn't hear the question. The brother is saying that he was in a certain situation where a debate was happening between an atheist, a Muslim and a Christian. And the atheist was basically trying to say that, look, in Islam or in Christianity you always put each other down. Whereas Muslims believe all non-Muslims are going to Jahannam, hellfire, and Christians, maybe some of them believe the same. And then, so I say, how to approach a non-Muslim and explain to him without making him feel like he's lower than Muslims? Correct? Is that the question?
Yeah, and just so that they don't think of us that they're lower than us.
Oh. So of course, like Brother Mohammed said, there's as a taking of point, there is no reason to be shy in anything in religion. If in Islam we believe that someone who dies without La ilaha illallah Muhammadun Rasulullah is going to hellfire, khalidina fiha abada, no one should shy away from this. Rather, your job is not guidance. And if this non-Muslim doesn't accept Islam because of a feeling that came in his heart, this is not your problem. Your problem is to pass the message wisely. So the wisdom in this situation is the approach, not changing the facts, rather changing the delivery. I can say, bloody non-Muslim, you're going to burn in hellfire, man. When are you going to wake up to yourself? That's an approach. Or I can say, look, we were like you. We were all the same boat. There was misguidance on earth. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to save humanity. Most religions believe, in Christianity it's the same feeling, same belief. Or if I don't believe in this, if I'm not worshipping this God, why do I expect this God to give me anything on Judgment Day? I denied him all my life. It's just justice. So rather than changing facts, wallahu a'lam, just change the delivery, the packaging. You can say the same sentence, the same information, but say it in a nice, polite, humble way. And you can say it in a haughty, arrogant, pompous way. Wallahu a'lam. But facts are facts. Don't change the facts. Wallahu a'lam.
I have a question here. It's very important actually, and it reflects the purpose of the whole discussion from one of the sisters, I believe. جزاكم الله خيرا تود الشيوخ. تكرما أريد في خطوات عملية كيف نزرع في أولادنا الفخور أو الافتخار أو الفخر بالدين. So their sister is asking, again, that's the main purpose of the whole thing. The sister is asking the brothers, the shuyukh, she needs in practical points, be specifically what are the things that she needs to do to let or to make her kids be proud or feel proud Muslims. I believe that we all have the same struggle. We all. If you don't have the same struggle, you're angel, and your kids are angels. We all have the same struggle, especially when we live in a non-Muslim environment. So I'll leave that should be with Hoblos.
Wallahi, it's a very beautiful question. And the reality is, we need to go back to the principle of what I said. We ourselves, we need to be convinced. Your child will believe whatever you believe. Your child will believe whatever you believe. If I myself am not convinced he's the greatest, I myself am not convinced his sunnah is the ultimate, what is my son going to do? So I myself, first of all, need to be trained. I myself, I need to know his seerah. I need to know his life. I first need to be proud. Then you share this with your child. My sister, you know what I do sometimes with my children? Is sometimes just before they go to bed, we sit down and we read stories, right? And I go the extra mile. Whenever I speak of Rasulullah, I speak with enthusiasm. I speak with awe. I speak with wow, because he's deserving of it. My children, they're like, whoa, who is this man? So you instill this love in their hearts. And the reality is, bro, who better than Rasulullah? Who? Just tell me who. Just in any aspect. The way he loved, the way he forgave, the way he taught, the way he came, the way he went, the way he... Everything about him is in awe. So when you speak about him, so for my, for the sisters and especially for the fathers, we need to share this. The reality is, even most of us, let's be honest, what do you know of your Prophet? Wallahi, some brothers, if I was to tell you what's his surname, who knows his surname?
What do you mean by surname?
Yani, what's his family name? Sorry, he's Muhammad what? Wallahi, my brothers, forgive me, most of us don't know. I know brothers, Muslims with beads and sunnah and is ready to die for Allah and his Prophet, and sometimes I tell him, brother, your Prophet, what's his name? What's his... Muhammad what? He looks like this and he's... Wallahi, he's like, he asks me, I don't understand. What's his father's name? We don't know. What's his mother's name? We don't know. But who's this person you love? We don't know our Habib, we don't know him. I don't know his lineage, I don't know his life, I don't know what he lived for, I don't know what he died for. We don't know these things. So we, first of all, we need to know it and we need to share it with our children. We need to pass these stories on to our kids. Wallahi, the child will love what you love. Why do our children love dunya? Why? Because we love dunya and they see it. How many families I know, brothers I know, who they take their kids to Islamic private schools, they spend thousands. And his kid comes out anti-Islamic. Why? Because the kid grew up watching his father working 24 hours a day. The kid comes out to be exactly like him. Our children are a reflection of us. So wallahi, I hope this so. But definitely, some advice, we need to talk about him, speak about him, teach your children, understand his seerah. Just know what he went through for you and I to be Muslim. How can you not love him? People now, maybe you and I don't know, but in the face of Michael Jackson, when Michael Jackson was at his peak, how many young children were wearing the leather jacket? How many young children had that hairstyle? How many young children? And everyone understood, nobody questioned why are you wearing the leather jacket? We know, the man's in love with Michael Jackson. We know he's in love. We copied his dance move, the way he walked, even the way he talked. We understood it was justified. The man's in love, let him be. Who better than Rasulullah to love and to imitate and to copy Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam? So we need to teach this to our children. I have to say this.
So, Jazakallah Sheikh Muhammad. So it's about, if we're looking for points, so education, finding the alternative education for our kids, and always setting up the example that we should follow, which is for sure the Prophet ﷺ. Another question from the sisters, which is, mashallah, it's a very, very, very good question, and I'm going to be referring it to Brother Omar, to Sheikh Omar. How can our Muslim children keep, by the way, if we're talking about children, the brothers from Muslim Kids TV, Michael Milo's here, he has a booth outside, right now in the lobby, check their training materials. They have good stuff for kids anyway. How can our Muslim children keep their identity if all what they see in the media, books, TV shows, movies, games, etc., what can parents do? What can the community do? Who should be responsible?
I guess it's part and parcel of the answer that Hoblos mashallah gave. So it's the same system, the same procedure to make your kid have an identity in the first place. Every person, every one of us grows an identity, grows a dream, a role model in his heart by the environment around him. You put a kid in the environment of musicians, he wants to become a musician. You put your kid in the environment of sport, soccer, American football, basketball, he wants to become like them. You put your kid in an environment of deen, where he hears about Rasulullah and the Sahaba, the great Sahaba radiallahu anhu, the mothers of believers, this is the environment he's hearing, he's talking, this is the language he's speaking, he will learn to love them. It's all about the environment. The heart is like a sponge, it sucks everything around it. Especially from a young age, kids are so intelligent. They learn from the environment very, very fast. And like Hoblos said, the biggest lesson you can give your child is your own personal life. You know this father or this mother that smokes cigarettes, but want the kids to turn out not to be smokers. Ever heard of a success story? Never. The father smokes, mother smokes, says, kid, don't smoke. The first thing the kid does, as soon as he's teenage, straight away is smoking. Why? That's what he saw his parents doing all his life. Likewise, my brothers, deen. I grew up, my father doesn't know Quran. Wallah, talk to your kid day and night about the importance of the book of Allah Azza wa Jal. He looks at you funny, like you're a clown. He goes, Dad, a simple question, a very, very pure, natural question. Dad, if Quran is so important, how come you don't know how to read? How come you never learned it? Clearly you're not telling me the truth. This is how kids learn, by your actions, by your lifestyle. So if I want my kid to have love of Sahaba, identity of Islam, I have to decrease exposure to these things. You make your kid watch movies, even, wallah, I'm being very honest with you, superhero movies. Superman, Batman, look at the kid, what happened? He watches Superman, Batman, straight away, Baba, Mama, can I buy the Superman dress? No one says to the kid, please wear it. The movie itself did that. He saw Superman flying, blowing red laser from his eyes, killing people. Everyone loves him. That's what the movie does. It creates a hero in someone's heart. If you want your kid to have an identity of Islam, you have to build the hero. Unfortunately, he can't see Rasulullah. He can only hear about him. Who's going to teach him about him? Who's going to tell him about him? You can put him in the school and expect miracles to happen. Doesn't work that way. Every single day, as a household, as a family, mother, father, children, have to sit down on daily basis. 15 minutes, half an hour, like we eat, like we drink, like we sit down on the sofa as a family. We sit down and we read about Rasulullah, about Sahaba, about the mothers of believers. Hoblos, mashallah, he made it very clear. We don't know the lineage of Rasulullah. But even, maybe some of you, because I saw some people saying, oh, I know. Let's make the question a bit harder. Who can list the mothers of believers, your own mothers? Who can say confidently, the 11 wives the Prophet ﷺ married in his life? They are your mothers, the mothers of believers. Muhammadur Rasulullah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala praised him, raised his rank. And Allah said, and the mothers, the wives of Rasulullah are the mothers of the believers. The majority of Muslims in our time, and I can say this confidently because I've tested many crowds, they don't know the names of their mothers. Now try to convince your daughter one day, that these people are the best people. Mom, what's her name? Mom, anything about her life? We know nothing. Grown up men know nothing. So clearly, my brothers, like we said, we can say we love Deen, we can say we love Sahaba, but our actions, our knowledge, our lifestyle points exactly in the opposite direction. If I was to say to the boys here, who can list 50 actors? 50 actors. Can you give me 50 actors' names? Some boys will say, oh, I'll give you 100. I know too much, I know. He will say, which one do you want? 70s, 80s, 90s? How about pop stars? Yeah. Give me. Which one do you want? Which type of music? Rock, rap, R&B? He will ask you. How about sports people? We will know. Soccer players, football players, he will know. Name 50 Sahaba. I love them. They're the greatest. They're the best people in the world. What was his name? What's this guy's name again? The one that, you heard the story when he was there. So if you want your kids to love, you have to love. You have to show this love. Sit down, talk about this love. Less exposure to a non-Islamic material, more exposure to Islamic deen and Islamic environment. That's the solution.
So the parent are responsible for sure, as we got from Sheikh Omar, and the responsibility of the community, I believe it's something that everybody feels. And I personally believe that this is part of the mission of many brothers here in the community. That's why this is one of the initiatives that we've been working on with the brothers from their Sunnah, is like talking to the community, reaching out the community, raising the awareness, and this is one of the main topics that we need to keep talking about it. So the community should work more and more on that, to raise the awareness and to present solutions and to get knowledge from the knowledgeable people from different parts of the world. I have a question here. I don't know if that's relevant or not, but I have to say it anyway. Can we, confirm that men and women need to marry to fulfill their deen based on other things rather than solely on looks, beauty / beauty? Many of both female and male today are waiting too long for marriage and are too selective.
Hoblos is ready for marriage if anyone is. Take this question. Allah, you got red? It's rare that you went on the show.
I read because I'm going to get at you from now on. Alright, so what exactly is the question?
She's asking, she said, is it she or he?
Anyway, yeah.
They're asking, why is so much focus on beauty and looks rather than other reasons for marriage? It's making marriage hard.
Why is... Because you look around you, everything's become about looks. Everything's become about appearance. No one cares anymore about internals. And most marriages, I don't want to sound like I'm having a stab at beautiful people, but most people that marry someone that's handsome or very pretty ends up having a miserable life. And I'm not saying all good-looking people are bad to deal with, but because we don't care anymore. Wallahi, just like a while back, I went to the supermarket to go buy. I work for my wife, so I have to do the shopping. So I went to the supermarket. And I very rarely buy fruit. It's not my thing, right? Because I have no idea how to buy it. But I'm walking past these plums, the most amazing looking plums I ever seen in my life. They looked amazing. They were rock hard, and I like them, They just looked amazing. Anyway, so I grabbed the whole bag worth. I took them home. I put it in the fridge. Because I like to have a cold. So the next morning, I was eager. I couldn't wait to. Anyways, I sat down, I washed these plums, I sat down, I grabbed the knife, I'm cutting it up, I'm coming to eat it. Lord, I put it in my mouth and it's crunchy. But zero flavor, zero smell, zero taste. Looked amazing, but zero. And I felt so ripped off. The reality is, we're so concerned on how things look on the outside, no one cares anymore what's happening on the inside. Looks is important, let's not be I don't want to be with an ugly person. Looks are important, but to what extent? Wallahi, to what extent? Actually, just yesterday I was saying to the Sheikh, I would happily sacrifice some looks for character. But I have an amazing looking person that's a deadbeat, couple 3 words together. What good is that for me? What good is that for me? But we've become superficial people. Everything's become external. We look for looks because we don't have anything else. Looks is important. I'm not going to say it's not. It is important, but it's not the make or break. And yes, it has become. And wallahi, you know what's amazing? Look at the way the world is going. Look at the way sisters can't keep up anymore. Sisters, wallahi, they can't keep up anymore. Sa'a it's her lips, sa'a it's the butterfly eyelashes, sa'a it's this. And we laugh. The boys say, yeah man, the sisters now, they look like trash. Because that's all you look at. The sister looks like that because that's all you look at. That's the only thing that gets your attention. She covers up, she wears the niqab, we call her ninja. We sit there, we make fun of her. It's not good enough for you and I anymore. The brother's with his wife, takes her out to dinner with his wife, and she's watching. Trust me, she's watching. You thought that she did it, but she caught it. You're at the restaurant, who are you looking at? She knows it and she sees. And then the other sisters see. Why do sisters do all these things to themselves? Why? Because she thinks, based on her environment, based on what she sees, this is what's going to bring me a man. We have a particular masjid in our area. We have a particular masjid. We went through a phase where all the boys in this masjid only wanted the girl in niqab. So what do you think happened in this community? Every girl started wearing niqab. Religious, not... She didn't. Why? Because... I don't want to... People will do what they have to do to reach their target. But we've become superficial. And yes, it is making things hard. And there are other things that are making things hard. Forgive me, Sheikh, just give me comment. There are other things that are making things hard when it comes to marriage. We fathers, we're also making things impossible. Marriage was supposed to be easy. My brothers, especially the fathers, let me tell you honestly. Most of us, we live in Disneyland. Everyone thinks his daughter, no, not my daughter. Habibi, especially your daughter. Our daughters, they're not pieces of furniture that can stay at home until they're 40, 45 and 50. She's a human being, she has feelings. She wants to be with a man, she wants to start a family. But we make marriage impossible. Today you come to ask for a man's, Wallahi, you come to ask a man for his daughter's hand, he thinks he's got Angelina Jolie sitting in his bedroom. Marriage has become impossible. That's putting aside our racism, that's putting aside our tribalism, that's putting aside all the other sicknesses that we have. Marriage has become impossible. Habibi, I want a car, I want a house, and what do you do for work, and how much money is in your bank account? Oh man, keep your daughter. Keep her. And then there are brothers, he has a sister. He knows his sister is ready for marriage, but won't say anything. Fathers, he knows his daughter's reached 22, 23, and in my opinion, trust me, Habib, you're all in denial. Even the girl that tells you, no, I don't want to get married, she's dying to get married. I don't know. Why? Because it's in her nature to be with a man. It's in her nature to be loved, to have her own home. Allah, it's in her fitrah. So the fathers, we're so naive, we're so blinded and foolish. The sister's 22, 24, 30, 32. No one's asking for a hand. Habibi, you go out there and find someone for her. No. We have pride, brother. We have honor. What ghira are you talking about? If you really cared, you would go. You would find someone, you would talk to people. I have an amazing daughter, I have an amazing sister. Brother, are you interested? I know a guy in the masjid, he's God-fearing, he works hard, he's a good boy, he's got good potential. Come and I'll introduce you to my sister, you can meet them. Some people are looking at me thinking, bro, what the hell, what planet are you on? This is deen. We make marriage impossible. And then what's the price? What's the price? Haram is easy. Halal is becoming impossible. What do you think is happening, bro? Wake up and smell the roses, my brothers. Wake up. Stop living in Disneyland. Anyway, Allah, I can
Still have time.
Okay, I have a question.
Okay. We have time. Okay. نعم. سألت مرة عن الخاتون. طبعا. تفضل. أنا أقدر أتكلم معك عن الخاتون. سليم يا مامتي، سليم يا موضوع هيك بس تفضل.
When I'm not married. Why? If you think I am married and I think that's wrong, we should know how to deal with each other to be one hand. But unfortunately, I've been here a long time and I tried to put two groups together and couldn't. Okay? That's because our understanding of Islam is wrong. maybe I differ with you, doesn't mean you are my enemy. For that, okay, I would like what we have to do to unite our community. Jazakumullah.
Abdul answered, mashallah. He gave the question and the answer. We have to unite. And the issue of unity, my brothers, is a very, very deep topic. It deserves a topic, a lecture of its own. But generally speaking, the pointers are, number one, to achieve unity, you have to understand what unity means in the first place. Muhammad also mentioned this in Dar Sunnah, but we'll repeat again. Unity does not mean that I reach a state where everyone in the world thinks like me, acts like me, believes in everything like me. That's not unity. The Sahaba weren't like that. The Prophet of Allah himself could not make the Sahaba radiallahu anhum like that. Rather, unity is in the heart. We can be different in opinion, different in ideology, different in approach, but accept each other with our hearts. There's love in our hearts. This is the unity that's achievable. Of course, to a certain extent. Meaning, we don't say, خلاص, we break down all the barriers and anyone who says any belief or any aqidah or any creed is accepted. We're not saying that. But there's something called the circle of acceptance. There's a circle. Some people have this circle of acceptance tied on himself only. I am the only one in the world that understood Islam. My opinion, my approach, my aqidah, my understanding of deen is the only proper understanding. And everyone around me is a mubtada'. And some people have this circle, it's so wide, interfaith, all religions are correct, and everyone's going to Jannah, and we sing Kumbaya together, that. There's a moderate circle of acceptance. Khalas, mashallah, from Ahl Sunnah, alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen, some differences are acceptable. The mashayikh and ulama of Islam have differed in these matters. There is no need to make life only viewable from your own eyes. Understand the differences, understand the khilaf, know how to have adab of khilaf, the manners of differing opinion. I disagree with you. What does that mean? What does that mean? I don't give you salam. I go outside on Facebook, on the internet, they amana for the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal. This guy is a fasiq. This guy is a mubtada'. This guy is a kafir. What are you doing, brother? There's a way in dealing with khilaf, in dealing with people, on how to bring khair in the ummah. You have to learn and seek this adab and manners from the pious ulama of our ummah. Learn from the salaf, learn from our pious predecessors how to deal with issues of difference of opinion. And then, inshallah, with a good intention and a lot of dua, Allah will unite the hearts. Even the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Allah said to him, وَأَلَّفَ بَيْنَ قُلُوبِهِمْ لَوْ أَنفَقْتَ مَا فِي الْأَرْضِ جَمِيعًا مَا أَلَّفْتَ بَيْنَ قُلُوبِهِمْ وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ أَلَّفَ بَيْنَهُمْ. O Prophet of Allah, Allah is the one who united and bonded the hearts of Sahaba. If you, Ya Rasulullah, spent all the money in the world to unite the hearts, it was not in your capability or ability. Allah had to do it. So when we are sincere and genuine, and Allah sees a genuine approach in the brothers to work together, common, mashallah, targets, agree, sit down, love each other, make ikram of each other, give presents to each other. When Allah sees genuine effort, Allah makes love descend amongst the community, inshallah. So short answer,
So the last question, we'll get it to Sheikh Hoblos. So the beard is part of our identity. I don't know if it's part of the question, but is it a question or not? For sure it is. What is the ruling? I'm not going to use the word that the brother said. He's saying what's the punishment? What's the ruling on shaving the beard due to our work? Sheikh Muhammad here, in some fields, the gas fields, they ask the employees to shave the beards for safety reasons, stuff like that. Shaving in the oil and gas fields. And then I'm going to conclude with this before I conclude, inshallah, the program, the full program tomorrow with Sheikh Omar and Sheikh Mohamed Hoblos will be at Dar Sunnah from what time to what time? From inshallah ta'ala from 5 to 7:30. The ladies halaqah, sorry. The program will start after Zuhr until inshallah ta'ala everybody goes to sleep. And the ladies lecture from 5 to 7:30 inshallah tomorrow at Dar Sunnah. At Dar Sunnah inshallah ta'ala. تفضل يا سيدي.
طيب Inshallah, just to make it clear, because the brother's asking about a ruling. So whenever we ask for a ruling, inshallah, we always go to the Mashaykh. So I'm going to kindly now give this to Sheikh Omar, because he wants to know the ruling. And I can tell you things outside of ruling, like principle and how this stuff, but when it comes to the hukum, then we have to hear what Allah and His Prophet want, inshallah. Sheikh Omar.
Alright, so the brother or sister is asking about the ruling of the bead. Again, there's two levels to the questions. I'm going to be very, very, very clear, inshallah. The majority of ulama of Islam, the vast majority of ulama of Islam, scholars of Islam, say that for the Muslim to grow his beard is compulsory because of the order of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in the authentic hadith, muttafaq alayhi al-Bukhari and Muslim, "A'fu al-liha wa a'fu al-shawari." A'fi means leave your beads, leave the hairs on your beard to grow and trim your mustache. Now this hadith came with multiple narrations, more than 14 if I remember correctly, of different words, a'fu, arfu, waffiru, all hinting in the same direction that you should let the beard to grow. You should not shave, trim. And then this is the general ruling. And then there's difference of opinion, how long should I, let it grow completely? Should I trim after a qabda, after a palm? Can I do it more than that? Can I do less than that? And a lot of debate and a lot of hadith. So I will move to the more important layer. If we come down a step back, before we ask this question, before we ask what's fard, what's sunnah, what's compulsory, we have to understand, yaqeen on the sunnah is very important. That whatever the Prophet ﷺ did, not even order us to do, not enforce in an order, whatever the Prophet ﷺ did is something very, very, very valuable. Like Muhammad gave the example. When Michael Jackson used to do something, a hairstyle, millions used to follow. When a soccer player now shaves a certain hairstyle, millions of people follow. The Prophet ﷺ chose to grow his beard for the men. He ordered them to grow their beard. It was a very important sunnah in his life, a very important sunnah in men's life. It's actually one of the sunnah that we call sunnah al-fitrah. Meaning, in all religions, Jewish, Christianity, in all religions, men grow their beards. It's not something that's unique to Islam. It's the fitrah of human beings. Harun alayhi salam, Musa alayhi salam, قال يا ابن أم لا تأخذ بلحيتي ولا براسي. Men grew beards. A lion has a beard, a lioness has no beard. Very, very, very simple. The fitrah of a man is to grow his beard. Now regarding the specific ruling of a man in a certain condition. Wallah, my job, a situation, a security situation. These masail, they don't require generic rulings. They should not be dealt with publicly like that. In what sense? You should go to a sheikh, you should have a sheikh in your life that you trust, you deal with. He knows your circumstances. He knows what it means for you to not have a job, for example. The general ruling is, yes, it's fard, yes, it's haram to shave, but the specific ruling is something you need to have a chat with your personal sheikh. My conditions are as such, my iman is as such. All these variables, they assist the sheikh in giving you advice on what to do. So I advise this brother or sister asking for a husband or whatever, to take this matter to someone that is close to you and explain your circumstances. Wallah, masalan, someone, sorry to say, some people, they shed it so much on the beard. The guy doesn't pray and he's saying grow your beard. He doesn't pray. He doesn't pray. So there's wisdom in how to deal with these matters. So take your individual mas'ala, your individual question, and ask about your circumstances. And don't make it generic. I asked the sheikh and he said if you work in your mind you can shave your beard. Maybe you're not a mufti. Let the brother ask for himself, his circumstances, his situation. Allah, that's a safer way to deal with the matter.
Egyptian sheikh. جزاكم الله خيرا. نسأل الله عز وجل أن يجعلنا جميعا من الذين يستمعون القول فيتبعون أحسنه. Would like to thank everybody who made the effort to be with us today. For sure, our Shaykh Mohamed Hoblos and Sheikh Omar Banna, and Brother Abdul Wahid Alami, Jazakumullah khairan. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward all of you the best. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Shabab, inshallah, we'll pray Isha right away. We're going to pray Isha right away, and then there is refreshment after Isha before you leave, inshallah ta'ala. Okay, anybody wants to make a adhan for us today?